Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Rachel Wild, a life coach and tarot reader. I help people transform their lives and level up into a whole new feeling of freedom. You can book a session with me by contacting me and we will see if we're a good fit to work together. Okay, so I know that so many people out there want to know how to be more confident or just how to be confident in general, right? So I've got a handful of helpful tips for you guys today as somebody who once struggled with feeling self-conscious, feeling a little bit of like social anxiety, right, in social situations. So that was definitely me at a point in my life, and I can very proudly and happily say that I don't struggle with those things anymore. I go around feeling good in the world, feeling confident in what I'm doing, and it really helps having this base of confidence for when I am rising to new challenges. So I have that confidence already within myself that I can tap into, which makes me even more successful in the world and continues to build my confidence in an upward spiral. So that's really great. So, on my journey to transform this feeling of self consciousness and kind of social anxiety and just different energies of nervousness that kind of go with those, the first thing that really helped me was tapping into my unique sense of individuality. So, tapping into your unique sense of individuality is really owning everything that you like and that you don't like, no matter what anybody else says or thinks about it. If you have a tendency to want to like other things that certain people also like, maybe you don't really like them, but you kind of create the story that you believe you like it because somebody else is or another group of people are. That's one way that you're betraying your unique sense of individuality. And to really show up confidently in the world, the most confident people on the planet have a very strong sense of individuality that they can stand in the center, in the core of themselves, of who they are. This could also show up in ways that you might not like certain things because everybody else also likes it, and maybe you do too, but maybe you already have this story going in your mind that's contrary to popular trends or whatever, and so you kind of create your preferences around this sense of wanting to be different from everybody else, yet you are betraying your own sense of individuality if clinging to that story makes you not honor your preferences in the way that they authentically show up, which sometimes might mean that you like something that, you know, a majority of other people also happen to like. Maybe you do like something going on with this particular trend, right? So we could do things out of a conforming nature, or we could do things out of a contrary nature. And when we just stick to one of those, we're not being true to ourselves. Every single time an opportunity comes up for you to be a conformist or a contrariist, I think I just made that word up. If you're not always going to stick to either side, right? Because there are so many variables in our life experiences, and it's actually okay to conform to what some other people are doing sometimes if you genuinely like it. And it's okay to be contrary to what maybe your group of friends or the majority of people you're around are doing or what they like at a certain time, if that authentically is your preference as an individual. And you can kind of start asking the question, okay, well, how do I know what my preferences are as an individual. Maybe if you've been a conformist for a really long time or a contrarian, maybe you could have lost sense of how do I gauge what my natural preferences really are. So it just goes back to tapping into your feelings in any given moment. Because at this point, you've probably created this automatic response pattern of, if you're discussing opinions or, tasting food or trying on clothes or whatever, right, with a group of people, if you're in the habit of conforming to what everybody else says, because you're distinguishing your self-worth in that way to receive love and acceptance, then that's probably going to be an automatic response that's going to come up after you watch this video. But now you're going to have the power of bringing awareness into it, and actually, instead of automatically choosing to be like, oh yeah, I like that shirt too, right? Or, oh, I like that song, or I like that music, or I like that food, when really you don't, you're going to take a step back now that you know about it, and you're going to feel into that situation. You're going to take time to actually feel what you feel as an individual. And maybe you're going to find that, yeah, you do like that shirt. Maybe you're going to take a second and look at it, and something about it is not going to jive with you. And then you get the chance to speak it, right? So now every time you do this, you're pouring a little, like a half cup of confidence, right, into your self-worth and your self-belief as an individual, because you are now being true to yourself, and you are disrupting this other weird pattern that created itself in your life, in hopes that you would receive love and acceptance by adopting it into your life. This also works for the contrarian, right? So if you're automatically contrary to any new trends, any popular trends, anything like that, if you're contrary to specific things all the time, like those examples, the next time that happens, you're probably going to have this automatic tendency to want to do that. But let's take a step back from that story you've created, that you need to be contrary to distinguish your self-worth and your identity, and then a lot of times to also receive love and acceptance, right? Because maybe you grew up around a family who took on these identities of contrarians, right? And then you felt like you had to adopt that so you could be included into the family, or this could be a peer group at school or whatever, right? And so really just knowing it's not always one way or the other, right? Sometimes we are going to match up our preferences with other people, but sometimes we're not. So we are at any given moment both this conformist and this contrarian. And we get to shape our unique, individual, authentic identity around the things that actually inspire us, the things that actually move us, the things that actually light us up inside. And by knowing and staying really strong also with what we don't like, with what we don't prefer, what disgusts us, right? So having those really powerful meters of I don't like these things and I do like these things. And also the individual has the ability to change those things anytime, right? There's so much freedom and power in tapping into your own individuality, right? Next thing I want to talk to you about is knowing that you are 100% whole and complete just the way you are is going to build your confidence, right? These things I'm talking about, they build your self-worth, your self-esteem, right? They pour into these buckets of confidence that you have. And so over time, as you build up these beliefs and as you practice staying true to your own preferences, you're going to see your confidence soar through the roof. Now, be sure to stay to the end, because I would say the final tip I have for you guys is one of the most powerful things you can do, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. Also, if you like what you're hearing so far, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and click that bell button. So you are completely 100% whole just the way you are. Nothing needs fixed. There's nothing wrong with you. And that can be so powerful for a lot of people who feel like they are lacking. And if you feel like you're lacking in your self-worth, in your self-esteem, or whatever, it's going to show up in the level of confidence that you can play out into the world in any given scenario. So knowing that, you know, I am perfect just the way I am. And the other piece of this is the knowing that life is a journey of becoming more and more and more and more of who you are. So you are 100% whole and complete, and it continues to grow into more and more and more and more and more, right? And so knowing this can be so helpful for building your confidence, because you know that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you look like, no matter what happens, you know, when you go out there and you speak in front of that crowd of people, or if you're around your group of friends, or if you're at the family gathering, or if you're at the job interview, or whatever, you know that you can't make any mistakes. Any mistakes that you might perceive as making are part of your perfect, whole, and 100% complete self, just the way you are. So this really gives you the power to just own exactly who you are, where you are, what you look like, the habits that you have at any given moment. You know, you are just 100% whole. That's true on a soul level, right? Just us as beings on the planet Earth, we're human beings. So there's the part of us that's human, and then there's also the part of us that is being. And that part of us that is just being, just is. And there is no right or wrong about the part of us that just is, right? And so there is tremendous power in tapping into that, and into that knowing. And if you want to get a little bit more deep into feeling that part of you that is a being, the part of you that just is, the part of you that needs no explanation or no defense or no disclaimers or whatever, the part of you that just shows up and just is, you can really tap into that. I would say a meditation practice would be a great start. Also, just playing out these ideas that I'm talking to you about right now, just really taking them in, coming back to this video, watching it so you really cement the belief in that, hey, I am 100% whole and complete just the way I am, and I have the right to show up in this space, in this world, and do whatever it is that I do, and do whatever it is that I want. And maybe you think it's wrong, or maybe you think I made a mistake, or maybe you even think I'm right. None of it matters. I just am being here. The part of me that just is, period, end of story, right? You're going to notice as you build your self-confidence that people start treating you better. They start treating you with more respect, right? When we hold a certain energetic level of confidence within ourselves, we just start not even becoming a vibrational match to certain treatment that we could potentially receive in the world. So it's very possible to set those energetic boundaries. And when you build your self-confidence like this, you become an energetic match to becoming friends with other people who also have a great amount of self-confidence. And also, you're going to attract mutual respect, right? And you're going to attract people who love and accept you for your individuality and for the confidence that you have in yourself instead of being a conformist or a contrarian, right? Okay, so another thing that is so powerful in building your self-confidence is owning your vulnerabilities and your emotions, okay? And this is going to be a little contradictory, what I'm about to say, but a great way that you can actually build your self-confidence is expressing the moments where you do feel some insecurities, okay? That means that it required a lot of confidence, right, for you to share that vulnerability. So actually talking about the ways that you may be experiencing feelings of insecurity, whether it's anxiety or I feel a little nervous about this or that or whatever, know that that is an incredible amount of self-confidence that you just had to feel that feeling in the moment and to express it out as the individual who was really feeling that feeling, right? We live in a world where there are a lot of people who are afraid to tap into their emotions and let alone express them outwardly. So it is very strong to show up in that way in the world where you can say what's going on inside of you, right? A lot of times we go through the world, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Oh, good. Da, da, da. What is that? All of that was a bunch of emptiness, right? So whenever I can, I like to be honest with people. How are you? You know, I'm feeling tired, or I'm feeling hungry, or I was just in the store the other day and I was caught in some serious indecision over an item. It could have been a little embarrassing for me to admit that, you know, I was really indecisive about this particular item for a while, but the woman at the cashier, at the cash register, she asked me, you know, how are you? And my immediate thought was, you know, I'm exhausted from this indecision I've been in. And that's what I said to her because that was true. And every time I express my true feelings as an individual, I show myself that I have my own back, right? And so subconsciously, when I have my own back, I cement the belief that I have a lot of confidence in myself, right? Having your own back creates confidence in your life. And so I said that to her, you know, and then we were able to have a conversation, and it was a genuine interaction. And I showed up confidently even when I was expressing, you know, a state that wasn't super positive, right? It wasn't perfect. Even though it was, because that's what I was experiencing. And because I was experiencing it, it was perfect. Because I am perfect, and what I experience is perfect. Do you see? Like, I am whole, and I was whole in the moment that I had indecision. And I was whole in the moment that I expressed my exhaustion from indecision. And I was whole when I had the genuine interaction with the cashier. And so it actually starts to bring more richness into your life, too. Because that conversation could have went good, and I wouldn't have known anything about her, she wouldn't have known anything about me, and it would have been empty. But at least me being confident enough to express my vulnerability, to express my emotions, to have my own back in that moment and not lie about it, but be honest, right? Because I wasn't good, and I wasn't going to lie about it. So I had my own back, I was confident. One more thing. Now, this is the most powerful way that you can build your self-confidence. Everything that I just said lays a great foundation for you to build that confidence. What I'm about to tell you will skyrocket your self-confidence. You can start it today. You can implement it many times a day. And it's going to build a lot of momentum, and it will change your life, and you will be a different person before you even know it, okay? And it's something that maybe you've heard this before, but I want you to hear me out on this, and I'm going to tell you a story about what happened to me. It is so important to follow through with your actions about what you say, especially in fearful times or when you're experiencing fear around it. Okay, this is the number one way that you can skyrocket your confidence, and you can start it today and you can start it tomorrow. How can I do that? Think of something that you have been wanting to do that you feel a little bit fearful of, and start small. It doesn't have to be a gigantic thing. It can, and it's going to be really thrilling for you. Well, go ahead, pick one of those things, and this is going to be really fun, okay? So think of it as a really fun thing to do. Pick one of those things, and I want you to go ahead right now and decide. Decide, I'm going to do it tonight. I believe in building my self-confidence. I came to this video. I want to build my self-confidence. I'm going to do this thing tonight. by the end of the day, I'm going to do this thing that I've been thinking about doing, okay? And pick something that you can actually do today. All right, so when you get to this point and you decide that you're going to do it, I want you to just immediately start on the path of doing it. And I want you to follow through, and I want you to do it until the end. Because after you have done it, you are going to feel so good. This is how it works, folks. Anytime you feel a little fear around a desire that you have to do, you are meant to do it. And feeling the fear and moving through it is like the fun part for the really expansive part of us that is a soul, right? A soul comes to planet Earth, right, and wants to experience this rich life and wants to play, right? Earth is a giant playground. And so we're all these incredibly powerful soul beings playing here, okay? And the fear makes it a little bit fun for the soul, right? It's a little bit of a challenge, something to get over. And when you get over it, right, when you get over the fear, when you go through it, when you're on the other side, it feels so thrilling. Like you feel so good. And just, if you need a little help getting through it, think back to a time when you felt a little bit scared about something and you had to go through that fear and you came out the other side. Maybe you were a kid or whatever. I'm going to tell you a couple of stories real quick. One story that I love to go back to is when I was probably 11 years old and I was taking this family vacation to Cedar Point in Ohio, which at the time had the highest roller coasters in the world. Period, hands down. They had worldwide record-breaking roller coasters. And anybody out there who's ever been, you know about the Millennium Force, right? And I went on that roller coaster. I have to tell you that it's a freaking process. You wait in line forever, right? And the whole time, I'm like, I want to do it. I see how high it is, and then I start getting scared, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to do it because I get scared. And I was, right before I got on, I almost didn't go on. Because it was so high, and I was an 11-year-old girl, and it looked really scary. And before I even got on that thing, I was feeling the fear, right? Now, I had ridden all these other roller coasters in the park, but this was the highest one, and it was freaking high. Okay, so I decided to step on them, and I get on that roller coaster, and that thing takes you up, really, really slow, and man, you get freaking high up there to where you wish it was going fast, because it is agonizingly slow, and you are freaking high off the ground. Well, anyways, they strap you into these bars, right? So I was strapped into this bar thing. Well, I went over the curve, and we start going down, of course, my stomach has that bottoming out feeling, right? Anybody who's gone on a roller coaster knows what that is. But man, that thing was so high and so fast. I started lifting out of my seat. My butt was off the seat. My butt was, like if I'm sitting down where my head was, my butt was above that. My legs started coming out of that freaking bar. It was scary. And I was just like hanging on for dear life because I was like, there's so much momentum in this thing. I feel like I'm falling out of this right now. And it was freaking scary. That's all I can say. It was really, really, really scary. But then finally when I reached the bottom and then you round this curve and they take your picture and all that jazz. Guys, I can't even tell you that I don't know why I started saying this, but I didn't even think about it. I just started screaming at the top of my lungs, "This is the thrill of my life!" Like over and over and over and over again. And that is just the way it is with like any fear. And like ever since then, there's been other things that have come up in my life where I have felt the fear, but I went anyways, and it was so much fun afterwards. It's like this feeling of euphoria you get. You feel so ecstatic. So that was when I was a kid, but now I'll take you back just to something that happened last year. So I had tickets to see a musician who I just love. Tosh Sultana is her name. You should love Tosh Sultana. And I got tickets, right, to go see the concert. Now, a couple of weeks before I was supposed to go with this friend that I was going to go with, she had a death in her husband's family, I think it was, and she had, anyways, on the same day, it turns out that she was going to be attending a memorial service. And so all of a sudden, she wasn't going to be going with me, and this was going to be a 4-hour trip across state, right? So it just so happened that that same weekend was a major holiday, and all the other friends that I knew that I was asking, they either already had their holiday plans, or they were working that night, and it was too short notice for them to get off. So all of a sudden I found myself, saying, okay, well, I guess I could go by myself. I don't really want to. I was calling like everybody. I was like, I don't know if I want to drive across the state by myself because I'd be driving at night, right? And I was like, I don't really feel comfortable driving through all those back roads at night by myself. But at the same time, I love Tosh Sultana and I want to go so bad, right? So it was kind of a tough decision at first, but I had to step out and trust the universe. And I just, had to say, universe, I trust that I'm going to be safe. I trust that I'm going to be taken care of, right? And I set off on my journey, and I was driving in the car and I was having a really good time. And I still had my extra ticket. I took my extra ticket with me. And as I was driving on the way to the concert, I asked Spirit, I said, Spirit, show me how to use this extra ticket. Lead me, guide me, show me what I'm supposed to do with this extra ticket, right? And so, I said that little prayer out to myself, to the universe, to my soul, to my higher self, to Spirit, whatever you want to say, to God, and to the source. And I totally forgot about it. I just went on my merry way, listening to music, getting really pumped up. I was so excited. Well, folks, I have to tell you, as soon as I got there, as soon as I pulled in, like this, I pulled into a parking spot, and on the direct opposite side of me, in the same parking spot, but across the aisle, right, that you can drive through, another girl gets out of her car by herself. And let's talk about having confidence, right? So I just go up to her, and I'm like, hey, it looks like you came alone. I came alone too. And she's like, yeah, you know what? I was supposed to go to this concert with my friends at a different venue. And that venue had the concert like a week before, but she didn't realize that she had bought a ticket to this venue. So her friends had gone to the concert a week before, and then she was left with her ticket coming to this venue, which was like 2 hours away from where she lived. So she told me, she's like, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go. I have to drive 2 hours away by myself. I'm not going to know anybody. This and that, this and that, this and that, right? And so it was incredible how I was taken care of the whole time. The universe supported me, and it was amazing because we hit it off, we started chatting. If I wouldn't have gone, right, I would have never went through this amazing experience. The experience of meeting a new friend and arriving at the same time and place so that we could hang out with each other the whole concert, and we had a great time. And that's where my extra ticket came into play, because my tickets were closer to the stage than hers were. So I was like, hey, do you just want to sit with me? I have this extra ticket. And so I had a friend with me the whole time, and it was an incredible, amazing experience. And I had to have confidence. I had to have confidence in my abilities to drive 4 hours across state one way and then come back late at night, right, by myself. I had to have faith and trust in the universe. I had to have self-confidence to go approach her. And I have to tell you that I felt so high after that concert, right? Like, meeting my friend and experiencing the concert, and then after the concert, and meeting everybody there after the concert too, and then coming back, and in the days that followed, right, I was like on cloud 9, right? I felt euphoric because it was so fun to face my fears and go and do it anyways, and to be rewarded immensely for it, because I do feel like I was rewarded for it, right? So anytime we jump out when we have a little bit of fear, we have to remember that the fear is an illusion. It's not true. And the universe has our back and wants to support us and wants to see us on the other side of the fear. Okay? And when you do those things, right, it just brings you more confidence and more confidence and more confidence and more confidence. So whatever it is that you need to do tonight, do it. And I know that there's going to be so many ideas coming to all of the people watching this video right now. But pick something tonight and do it. And then just do something every day. Every single day. Got a little bit of fear, just do it. And you don't have to be attached to the outcome or to the results or whatever, because just doing it is going to show yourself that you care enough about yourself to actually do the things you desire. So you're taking care of your own desires. And when you do that, you just dump into this big cup of confidence, right? And when it gets filled up so high and you just walk into the world like that all the time, people notice. All right, everybody, that's really all I have to share with you today on this topic. This stuff is life-changing, let me tell you. It's going to affect what you attract into your life, the people that you meet, how you feel on a daily basis. The quality of your life improves dramatically when you increase your confidence. So come back to this video, watch it as many times as you need. If you're building your confidence every day, I would say once a day for 30 days, just come back to this video. Get these ideas cemented into your brain, into your consciousness, right? Let it seep in. So like I said, if you want to book a coaching session with me, or you would like some guidance via a tarot reading, then reach out to me personally. Otherwise, everyone, have a marvelous, marvelous day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.